This is just a spur of the moment video I decided to make due to some big and very unexpected news which was just released. I don't think anybody was expecting this announcement. I know I definitely was not. It's been less than a year since Sullivan announced the post-Revelation series The Cycle, which meant that the world of Elan would kind of be coming to an end once The Cycle was released and once Riyria Chronicles was wrapped up. It also meant that we were about to enter a year-long hiatus with no novel being released, which is the first time that's happened in over a decade. But all that changed on Friday. I got a message that Sullivan had a new blog post with 6 announcements. The first 5 were pretty mundane. Their store was now open, an indie writer documentary would be premiering this summer, the Sullivans are attending a convention, Drumendor physical copies are about to start shipping, and a new Kickstarter for The House Witch had launched. But it was the final announcement that rocked everyone. It was titled New Elan Series, and at first I thought this was just an update on The Cycle, but it turns out it wasn't. This is a brand new Elan series in the works, titled After the Fall. It's set to be a trilogy estimated to start releasing early 2026, so let's talk about everything we know about this new series. First, the most obvious question is, how does Sullivan even have time for this? And the answer is that this is a joint writing venture, which means there's another author involved. Now, this might be a worry for many readers, including myself, who have read all the Elan books and have gotten very used to Sullivan's high level of writing. Sullivan did address this concern when he said not only is this a very talented author, but that since he is so protective of his world, he waited until the entire first book was written and up to his standards before even making this announcement. So in Sullivan's mind, this series is good to go. Now, let's talk about the series itself. It is planned to be a 3-book series that takes place after the Rise and Fall series, aka Esarhaddon, but before Riyria Chronicles. Now, that is an 800-year time gap, so let's see if we can narrow that down a bit. In the announcement, Sullivan said that some of the characters we were going to see include Ilinia, Jarek, Esarhaddon, and Wandelay. So I think we can narrow down that the first book is probably going to take place shortly after Esarhaddon, since it has to take place in Jarek and Ilinia's lifetime. After that, though, I think we have 2 options. The first would be that books 2 and 3 follow shortly after book 1 and have mostly the same characters, maybe following the same storyline. But option 2, which I think is more likely, is that this is going to be more of a Rise and Fall series type thing, where there's a long period of time between each of the books. And the reason that I think that that's a possibility is because the timeline seems to match up perfectly when we take into account the lineage of the Emperor and the shifting political dimensions of the humans during those 800 years. For example, Book 1 would follow Nevrik and Jerish shortly after Esarhaddon as they try to evade Wandelay and the Church. Book 2 then would take place around 400 to 500 years later and follow Nevrik's son or daughter during the Glenmorgan era, where the Glenmorgans came into power. Glenmorgan I came into power, and then Glenmorgan III lost power. And finally, Book 3 would take place maybe 100 to 200 years after that, following Nevrik's grandchild, and this would be after the fall of the Glenmorgans, so during the modern time where the human race was shifting over to being ruled by individual monarchies. It just fits those 3 time periods so well. If I had to take a guess, I think that's how a trilogy is going to be set up. And finally, I'm just so excited for all the potential cool scenes and storylines we could be getting as part of this series. The first one that immediately jumps out to me is finding out what was said in that final scene of Esarhaddon with Ilinia. Other ones that come to mind are seeing the creation of the magical Gutaria prison, or seeing the creation of the Surret Knights and how that interacts with Blythen Castle and Maleva. Also seeing the downfall of Glenmorgan III. That's all I really have for this update, but definitely let me know what scenes or characters you're hoping that we're going to get to see in the new series. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Be sure to subscribe and watch my other videos to learn more about the world of Elan and Riyria. Thanks!